Marcus Wellington sat in the back seat of his black car as it drove through the quiet streets of Beverly Hills. He was tired. The business trip to New York had taken 3 days, but it felt like 3 weeks. All he wanted was to go home and see his baby daughter, Emma. The big house came into view as the car turned into the long driveway. Marcus looked at his watch. It was almost 9 at night. Emma would be sleeping by now. He felt sad that he had missed another day with her. Since his wife Sarah died 6 months ago, every moment with Emma felt precious. Marcus paid the driver and walked to the front door of his mansion. The house was worth $12 million, but it felt empty without Sarah. He opened the door quietly and put his bags down in the hall. The house was dark except for a small light coming from upstairs. He walked up the marble stairs, his footsteps making soft sounds on the thick carpet. Marcus had made his money by creating apps for phones. At 34 years old, he was worth $50 million. But all the money in the world could not bring Sarah back or make raising Emma easier. As he reached the top of the stairs, Marcus heard a soft sound coming from Emma's room. It was not crying. It was something else. A gentle, humming sound. Marcus walked slowly toward the nursery door, which was slightly open. What he saw made him stop breathing for a moment. Maria, his housekeeper, was sitting in the big white rocking chair by the window. She was holding Emma close to her chest. But this was not just holding. Maria was breastfeeding his daughter. Marcus felt his heart start beating fast. He could not move. He could not speak. Maria had not seen him yet. She was looking down at Emma with such a gentle look on her face. She was humming a soft song in Spanish. Emma looked peaceful. More peaceful than Marcus had seen her in weeks. The baby's little hand was resting on Maria's arm. Her eyes were closed, and she was feeding quietly. Marcus felt many things at once. He was confused. He was angry. But he was also surprised by something else. Emma looked happy. She looked calm. She had been crying so much lately, especially at night. Nothing seemed to make her feel better. Maria finally looked up and saw Marcus standing in the doorway. Her face went white with fear. She quickly tried to cover herself and move Emma away from her chest. "Mr. Wellington," she said in her thick accent. I can explain." Marcus still could not speak. He just stood there looking at her. Maria's hands were shaking as she tried to fix her clothes. Emma started to cry because the feeding had stopped suddenly. "Please," Maria said, tears starting to fill her eyes. "Please let me explain." Marcus finally found his voice. "What are you doing?" he asked. His voice was quiet but full of shock. Maria stood up, still holding Emma. The baby was crying louder now. Maria started to rock her gently, trying to calm her down. "She was so hungry," Maria said. "The formula, she does not like it. She cries all the time. She is losing weight." Marcus remembered the last visit to the doctor. Dr. Peterson had said Emma was not gaining weight like she should. They had tried different formulas, but nothing worked well. Emma would drink a little, then push the bottle away and cry. "But how can you?" Marcus did not know how to ask the question. Maria's tears were flowing freely now. "I had a baby," she said quietly. 2 weeks before Emma was born, but my baby died. Marcus felt like someone had hit him in the stomach. He had no idea. Maria had been working for his family for 3 years. She had never said anything about being pregnant or having a baby. My milk came in, Maria continued. My body was ready to feed a baby, but I had no baby to feed. It was so painful. Not just my body, but my heart. Emma's crying was getting louder. Maria looked down at her with such love in her eyes. When I saw Emma crying all the time, not eating well, getting thinner, I wanted to help. I know it was wrong. I know I should have asked, but she was so hungry, and I could help her. Marcus watched as Maria gently bounced Emma, trying to calm her. He had never seen anyone handle his daughter with such natural skill except for Sarah. How long? Marcus asked. 3 weeks, Maria admitted. Only when she cannot sleep, when the formula makes her sick, when she cries for hours. Marcus thought about the last 3 weeks. He had noticed that Emma seemed calmer in the mornings. He had thought maybe she was finally getting used to the formula. Now he knew the truth. Where is your husband? Marcus asked. He knew Maria was married to Carlos, who worked as a gardener for another family in the neighborhood. He is at home. He does not know I do this. He would say it is not our place. But Mr. Wellington, Emma needed help. She was so thin, so sad. I could not watch her suffer when I could help. Marcus looked at Emma, who was still crying, but not as hard as before. He thought about all the nights he had walked the floors with her, trying everything to make her stop crying. He thought about the worry he felt when the doctor said she was not growing properly. The doctor said. Marcus started. I know what the doctor said, Maria interrupted gently. That is why I had to help. In my country, in Guatemala, women help each other with babies. If one mother has milk and another needs help, we share. It is normal. Marcus had never thought about this. In his world of business meetings and expensive restaurants, he had never considered that there might be simple solutions to complex problems. Emma was finally getting quiet in Maria's arms. She had stopped crying and was looking up at Maria's face. There was trust in the baby's eyes. A connection that Marcus had been trying to build since Sarah died but had not quite managed. I love her, Maria said simply. I know she is not my baby, but I love her like she is. These words hit Marcus harder than anything else. He could see that Maria meant it. He could see it in the way she held Emma, in the way she looked at her, in the way Emma responded to her. Marcus felt tears in his own eyes now. He was not angry anymore. He was overwhelmed. This woman who cleaned his house and cooked his meals had been taking care of his daughter in a way he had not even known was possible. Why didn't you tell me? He asked. Maria looked scared. I thought you would fire me. I thought you would think I was wrong, bad. But Emma needed help, and I could give it to her. I had to try. Marcus looked at his daughter, now peaceful in Maria's arms. He looked at Maria, tears on her cheeks, fear in her eyes, but also love. So much love for a baby that was not even hers. For the first time since Sarah died, Marcus felt like someone else truly understood what it meant to care for Emma. Someone else was willing to do anything to help her. The room was quiet now except for Emma's soft breathing. Marcus did not know what to say or what to do next. Everything he thought he knew had changed in just a few minutes. All he knew for sure was that his daughter looked happier and healthier than she had in weeks. And the woman standing before him had made that possible. Marcus did not sleep that night. He lay in his big, empty bed, staring at the ceiling. His mind kept going back to what he had seen in Emma's room. Maria breastfeeding his daughter, the peaceful look on Emma's face, the love in Maria's eyes. He felt confused about everything. Part of him felt angry that Maria had done something so personal without asking him. Another part of him felt grateful that someone cared enough about Emma to help her when she was struggling. When morning came, Marcus got dressed and went downstairs. He could smell coffee and breakfast cooking in the kitchen. Maria was always the first person awake in the house. She had been taking care of everything since Sarah died. Marcus walked into the kitchen. Maria was standing at the stove, making eggs. She looked tired, like she had not slept either. When she saw him, she stopped what she was doing. "Good morning, Mr. Wellington," she said quietly. She would not look at him directly. "Good morning, Maria," Marcus said. "We need to talk." Maria's face went pale. She turned off the stove and wiped her hands on her apron. "Yes, sir." "Let's go to my office," Marcus said. They walked through the house to Marcus's study. It was a big room with dark wood walls and expensive books. Marcus sat behind his desk, and Maria sat in the chair across from him. She kept her hands folded in her lap and looked down at the floor. Marcus did not know how to start. He had been thinking about what to say all night, but now that Maria was sitting in front of him, the words did not come easily. "Maria," he began, "what you did last night, I need to understand." Maria finally looked up at him. Her eyes were red from crying. "I know I did wrong," she said. "I know I should have asked you first. But Emma was so sick, so thin. I could not watch her suffer." "Tell me about your baby," Marcus said gently. Maria's eyes filled with tears again. She took a deep breath before speaking. "Carlos and we tried for 5 years to have a baby," she said. 5 years of hoping every month, then being sad when nothing happened. We went to doctors, but they were expensive. We tried everything." Marcus listened carefully. He had never thought about Maria's personal life much. She was always just there, quietly taking care of his house and his family. "Finally, last year, I got pregnant," Maria continued. "We were so happy. We started buying baby clothes, planning for our child. I was so excited to be a mother." "What happened?" Marcus asked. "Problems during the birth," Maria said, crying now. "The cord was around the baby's neck. The doctor tried everything, but it was too late. Our son died before he could take his first breath." Marcus felt pain in his chest hearing this. He could not imagine losing a child that way. "We named him Miguel," Maria said, "after Carlos's father. We buried him in a little grave at the church, but my body did not know he was gone. My milk came in anyway. For weeks, I was in pain because I had milk but no baby to feed." Marcus began to understand. "That must have been terrible." "It was the worst time of my life," Maria said. "I came back to work because I needed to keep my mind busy. But every time I saw Emma, I thought about Miguel. I wondered what it would have been like to feed him, to hold him, to watch him grow." "When did you start feeding Emma?" Marcus asked. 3 weeks ago, Maria said. "Remember that night when you called and said you would be late from work? Emma had been crying for 4 hours. Nothing would make her stop. She would not take the bottle. She was getting so thin." Marcus remembered that night. He had been in meetings until almost midnight. When he got home, the house was quiet, and Emma was sleeping peacefully. "I tried everything," Maria continued. "Walking with her, singing to her, different bottles, different formula. Nothing worked. She was so hungry but would not eat. Then I remembered my grandmother in Guatemala." "Your grandmother?" "She told me stories about women in our village who would help each other with babies, if one mother was sick or could not. Make milk. Another mother would feed her baby. It was normal, natural. Women helping women, babies helping babies survive. Maria wiped her eyes with a tissue. I thought about Emma crying and my body full of milk that no baby needed. It seemed like God was showing me a way to help. Marcus was quiet for a moment. In his world of business and money, he had never heard of such things. But it made sense in a simple human way. What did you do? He asked. The first time I was so scared, Maria said. But Emma was so hungry, and she took to it right away. She stopped crying immediately. She drank and fell asleep in my arms. She looked so peaceful, so happy. And you kept doing it? Only when she really needed it, Maria said quickly. When the formula made her sick, when she would not eat for hours, when she cried so much that nothing else worked. I always tried the bottle first, but sometimes she just needed something different. Marcus thought about the last 3 weeks. Emma had seemed better. She was gaining a little weight. She cried less. The doctor had even said she looked healthier at her last visit. Carlos does not know? Marcus asked. Maria shook her head. He would not understand. He would say it is not our place, that we are just workers here. But Mr. Wellington, Emma is not just any baby to me. I have watched her since. She was born. I held her when Mrs. Sarah was too tired. I changed her first diaper. I sang her to sleep when she was tiny. Marcus remembered those early days after Emma was born. Sarah had been so tired from the difficult pregnancy. Maria had been there constantly, helping with everything. When Mrs. Sarah died, Maria continued, I saw how sad you were, how hard. It was for you to take care of Emma alone. I wanted to help more, but I did not know how. When I saw that I could help Emma eat and be healthy, I had to do it. Marcus felt something breaking inside his chest. This woman had been grieving her own loss while helping him through his. She had given Emma something he could not give her. Are you angry with me? Maria asked quietly. Marcus looked at her sitting, across from his desk. She was small and thin, with kind eyes and rough hands from years of hard work. She had been cleaning his house for 3 years, but he had never really seen her as a person with her own life, her own dreams, her own pain. I don't know, Marcus said honestly. I'm confused. I'm surprised. I'm grateful. Grateful. Emma has been struggling so much, Marcus said. The doctor was worried. I was worried. I felt like I was failing as a father. Nothing I did seemed to help her. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. He could see the garden where Carlos sometimes worked on weekends. You probably saved her life, Marcus said quietly. I just wanted to help, Maria said. Marcus turned back to look at her. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I was afraid, Maria said. In my country, helping with babies is normal. But here, everything is different. There are rules, laws, ways things must be done. I thought you would think I was wrong, that I had crossed a line I should not cross. Did you cross a line? Marcus asked. Maria thought about this. Yes, she said finally. But sometimes, when someone needs help, especially a baby, lines do not matter as much as love. Marcus sat back down. He looked at Maria for a long time without speaking. She had risked her job, maybe even risked legal trouble, to help his daughter. She had given Emma something precious from her own body, her own grief, her own love. What do you think I should do now? Marcus asked. Maria looked surprised by the question. I do not know, sir. That is for you to decide. What do you want me to do? I want Emma to be healthy and happy, Maria said. That is all I have ever wanted. Marcus felt tears in his eyes again. This simple answer showed him how different Maria's heart was from his complicated mind. "Do you want to keep helping her?" Marcus asked. "If you will let me," Maria said. "But only if you think it is right. Only if you want me to." Marcus looked out the window again. He saw Carlos working in the garden, not knowing that his wife had been feeding another family's baby. He thought about all the rules and expectations of his wealthy world. He thought about what his friends and family would say if they knew. Then he thought about Emma's peaceful face the night before. He thought about how healthy she had looked recently. He thought about Maria's tears and her story of loss and love. "I need time to think," Marcus said finally. "I understand," Maria said. She stood up to leave. "Maria!" Marcus called as she reached the door. "Yes, sir?" "Thank you," he said, "for caring about Emma, for loving her when I didn't know how to help her." Maria smiled for the first time that morning. "She is easy to love, Mr. Wellington. She looks just like her mother." After Maria left, Marcus sat alone in his office. He had a decision to make that would change everything for all of them. But for the first time since Sarah died, he felt like he was not facing it alone. Marcus spent the whole day thinking. He could not focus on work. He kept walking around his big house, looking at pictures of Sarah, checking on Emma, watching Maria as she cleaned and cooked like any other day. But this was not any other day. Everything had changed. That evening, Marcus called his lawyer, Robert Henderson. Robert had been his friend since college and had helped him with his business deals for years. "Robert, I need to ask you something, and I need you to keep it private," Marcus said into the phone. "Of course. What's going on?" Marcus told Robert everything. About Maria's baby who died. About Emma not eating well. About finding Maria breastfeeding Emma. About Maria doing it for 3 weeks. Robert was quiet for a long time after Marcus finished talking. "Marcus," Robert said finally, "this is very complicated. There could be legal issues. What if something happened to Emma? What if Maria had some disease? What if someone found out and reported it to Child Services?" Marcus felt his stomach drop. He had not thought about Child Services taking Emma away. "But," Robert continued, "if Emma is healthy and thriving, and if Maria is healthy, and if this is helping Emma when nothing else worked, I understand why you're confused." "What should I do?" Marcus asked. "Legally, I would say you should stop this immediately and find other solutions for Emma's feeding problems. But as your friend, I can see that you care about this woman and what she's done for your daughter." That night, Marcus could not sleep again. He kept thinking about what Robert had said. He also kept thinking about Emma's face when Maria was feeding her. The peace, the contentment, the love. The next morning, Marcus woke up early. He had made his decision. He found Maria in the kitchen, preparing Emma's morning bottle. She looked nervous when she saw him. "Maria, please sit down," Marcus said. "I want to talk to you." Maria sat at the kitchen table, her hands folded in her lap again. She looked scared. "I've been thinking about everything you told me yesterday," Marcus began. "About your baby Miguel, about why you helped Emma, about what you've been doing." Maria nodded but did not speak. "I want to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest with me," Marcus said. "Yes, sir." "Do you want to keep helping Emma this way?" Maria's eyes filled with tears. "More than anything," she whispered. "Even if it means big changes for you and Carlos?" "What kind of changes?" Marcus took a deep breath. I want to offer you a new job, not as my housekeeper, but as Emma's nurse and nanny. I want to pay you 3 times what you make now. I want to give you health insurance, vacation time, and a contract that protects both of us. Maria stared at him with her mouth open. But that's not all, Marcus continued. I want you and Carlos to move into the guest house behind the main house. It has 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a living room. You would have your privacy, but you would be close to Emma when she needs you. Mr. Wellington, I don't understand, Maria said. Emma needs you, Marcus said simply. You've proven that you can help her in ways I cannot. You love her, and she responds to you. I would be stupid to let you go just because what you're doing is unusual. Maria started crying. But what will people say? Your friends, your family. Marcus had thought about this too. His mother would be shocked. His business partners would think he had lost his mind. His neighbors would gossip. I don't care what they say, Marcus said. Emma is my daughter, and I will do whatever is best for her. Right now, you are what's best for her. What about Carlos? What will he think? That's something you'll have to discuss with him, Marcus said. But I have an idea about that too. What? Carlos is a good gardener. I've seen his work at other houses in the neighborhood. I want to hire him to take care of our grounds full time. Same deal. Good pay, benefits, a real job. Maria was crying. Harder now. Why would you do this for us? Marcus thought about how to answer. Because you did something for Emma that I couldn't do. Because you put her needs before your own comfort. Because you risked everything to help a baby who wasn't even yours. He paused, then continued. And because I think Emma needs a mother figure in her life, someone who can give her things I can't give her as a father. But I'm not her mother, Maria said. No, but you love her like one. Sometimes that's enough. Maria wiped her eyes with a tissue. What about the legal things? What if someone reports us? I talked to my lawyer, Marcus said. If we do this properly with contracts and medical checkups for both you and Emma, we can make it legal and safe. There are actually laws that allow wet nursing in certain situations. Really? Yes. It's not common anymore, but it's not illegal if it's done safely. Maria was quiet for a long time, thinking. I need to talk to Carlos, she said finally. Of course. Take all the time you need. But Maria, I want you to know something. What? Yesterday I was angry and confused. Today I realized that what you did was brave and loving. You saw a problem and you fixed it. You didn't ask for permission because you knew I might say no. You just did what needed to be done. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. He could see Emma's room from there. I've been trying so hard to be both mother and father to Emma, he said. But maybe I don't have to do everything alone. Maybe it's okay to accept help, especially from someone who loves her as much as you do. That evening, Carlos came to the house. Marcus had never talked to him much before. Carlos was a quiet man who worked hard and kept to himself. But tonight, he looked confused and worried. Marcus invited Carlos and Maria into his study. They all sat down, and Marcus explained his offer again. Carlos listened without speaking. When Marcus finished, Carlos looked at his wife. Is this what you want? Carlos asked Maria in English. Yes, Maria said. Emma needs help, and I can help her. Mr. Wellington is offering us a chance for a better life. Carlos turned to Marcus. You really want my wife to feed your baby? "I want your wife to help my daughter be healthy and happy," Marcus said. "She's been doing it for weeks, and Emma is better because of it." "In Guatemala, this is normal," Carlos said. "But here in America, I thought it was different." "Maybe it should be different," Marcus said. "Maybe we should care more about helping each other and less about what other people think is normal." Carlos was quiet for a moment. "What exactly are you offering us?" Marcus explained everything again. The salary, the benefits, the guest house. "The job for Carlos. You would pay me to take care of your garden?" Carlos asked. "Yes. Full-time with good pay." Carlos looked around the study with its expensive furniture and books. "Why would you do this for people like us?" "Because people like you are exactly the kind of people I want around my daughter," Marcus said. "People who work hard, who care about family, who put love before money." Carlos and Maria talked quietly in Spanish for a few minutes. Marcus could not understand what they were saying, but he could see that they were both emotional. Finally, Carlos turned back to Marcus. "If we do this, what happens if Emma gets sick? What happens if you change your mind? What happens if you get married again and your new wife doesn't want us here?" These were all good questions. Marcus had thought about them too. "We'll sign a contract," Marcus said. "It will protect all of us. If Emma gets sick, we'll work with doctors to make sure she gets the best care. If I change my mind without good reason, I'll pay you both for 6 months so you have time to find other jobs. And if I get married again, my wife will have to accept that you are part of Emma's life." "You would put all of this in writing?" Carlos asked. "Yes. My lawyer will write it up properly." Carlos looked at Maria again. She was looking at him with hope in her eyes. "This baby, Emma, she means a lot to you?" Carlos asked his wife. "She does," Maria said. "When Miguel died, I thought I would never get to be a mother. But taking care of Emma, feeding her, watching her grow, it helps my heart heal." Carlos nodded slowly. "Then we will do it," he said to Marcus. "But we want to do it right. With doctors checking on everyone, with papers that protect us all, with respect." Marcus felt relief wash over him. "Absolutely. We'll do everything properly." They shook hands, and Marcus felt like he was not just hiring employees. He was creating a new kind of family for Emma. That night, as Marcus put Emma to bed, he told her about the changes that were coming. "You're going to have Maria and Carlos living close by," he whispered to her. "Maria is going to help take care of you, and Carlos is going to make our garden beautiful. We're all going to be a family together." Emma looked up at him with her big eyes, not understanding the words but seeming to sense that something good was happening. For the first time since Sarah died, Marcus felt hopeful about the future. Emma would have the care she needed, and he would have help raising her from people who truly loved her. It was not the life he had planned, but sometimes the best things in life are the ones you never planned at all. 6 months later, Marcus woke up to the sound of laughter coming from the garden. He looked out his bedroom window and saw Emma sitting on a blanket under the big oak tree. Maria was next to her, pointing at the colorful flowers that Carlos had planted around the yard. Emma was almost 1 year old now. She could sit up by herself and was starting to try to stand. She was healthy and happy, with round cheeks and bright eyes. The thin, crying baby from months ago was gone. Marcus got dressed and walked outside. The morning air was warm, and the garden looked like something from a magazine. Carlos had worked magic with the plants and flowers. There were roses, tulips, and vegetable plants growing in neat rows. "Good morning," Marcus called as he walked over to the blanket. "Daddy," Emma said, reaching her arms up to him. It was 1, of her first words, and it still made Marcus's heart feel full every time she said it. Marcus picked up Emma and kissed her cheek. She smelled like baby soap and sunshine. "She woke up early today," Maria said with a smile. "She wanted to come outside and see the flowers." "The garden looks amazing," Marcus said to Carlos, who was watering plants nearby. "Thank you, Mr. Marcus," Carlos said. Carlos had started calling him Mr. Marcus instead of Mr. Wellington. It felt more friendly, more like family. Marcus sat down on the blanket with Emma in his lap. She grabbed at his tie and babbled happy sounds. 6 months ago, she had been struggling to gain weight and crying constantly. Now she was a normal, healthy baby who smiled and played and ate well. The arrangement with Maria had worked better than Marcus had ever imagined. They had done everything properly, just like they promised. Maria and Emma both saw the doctor regularly. Maria was tested to make sure she was healthy and could safely feed Emma. Emma was growing perfectly and hitting all her milestones. They had signed contracts that protected everyone. Maria was officially Emma's nurse and nanny with a good salary and benefits. Carlos was the head gardener, also with good pay and benefits. They lived in the guest house, which they had made into a cozy home with pictures of their families and furniture they had chosen together. But the best part was not the contracts or the money. The best part was that Emma had people who loved her completely. Maria treated Emma like her own daughter, and Emma responded with giggles and hugs and the kind of trust that only comes from being truly cared for. "Mr. Marcus," Maria said, "I have something to tell you." Marcus looked at her. She looked happy but nervous. "What is it?" Maria and Carlos looked at each other and smiled. "I am pregnant," Maria said quietly. Marcus felt joy rush through him. "Maria, that's wonderful! Congratulations!" Carlos beamed with pride. "The doctor says everything looks good this time. The baby should be born in about 5 months. Marcus hugged both of them. "This is the best news ever. Emma is going to have a little brother or sister to play with." "We wanted to talk to you about what this means," Maria said. "When the new baby comes, I will not be able to feed Emma anymore. She will need to stop breastfeeding soon anyway, because she is getting older." Marcus had been thinking about this too. Emma was eating solid food now and drinking from cups. She still nursed with Maria sometimes, especially when she was tired or upset, but she did not need it as much as before. "We'll figure it out together," Marcus said. "The most important thing is that you have a healthy pregnancy and a healthy baby." Over the next few months, they slowly helped Emma transition away from breastfeeding. It was easier than Marcus had expected because Emma was older and more interested in regular food. Maria was still her main caregiver, but now she fed Emma with bottles and solid food instead. Emma did not seem to mind the change. She was busy learning to walk and exploring everything in the house and garden. She followed Carlos around as he worked, trying to help him water plants. She sat with Maria in the kitchen, babbling while Maria cooked. Marcus's family and friends had been shocked when they learned about the arrangement. His mother had been especially upset at first. "Marcus, what will people think?" she had asked. "You have a Hispanic woman living on your property, taking care of Emma in such an intimate way." "I think they'll think that Emma is lucky to have people who love her," Marcus had replied. Some of his business friends had made jokes about his unconventional household. A few neighbors had gossiped about the strange situation at the Wellington house. But Marcus found that he did not care what any of them thought. Emma was thriving. Maria and Carlos had become like family. The house that had felt empty and sad. after Sarah died, was now full of life and laughter. Marcus had also learned things about himself that surprised him. He started learning Spanish so he could communicate better with Maria and Carlos. They taught him about their culture, their food, their traditions. He learned that Carlos was not just a gardener, but also an artist who painted beautiful pictures in his spare time. He learned that Maria was not just a caregiver, but also a woman with dreams of maybe going to college someday. When Maria was 7 months pregnant, she and Carlos came to Marcus with another surprise. "We want to name the baby after you and Mrs. Sarah," Maria said. "What do you mean?" Marcus asked. "If it's a boy, we want to call him Marcus Miguel," Carlos said. "Miguel for my father who died, and Marcus for you. If it's a girl, we want to call her Sarah Maria," Maria added, "for your wife who was so kind to me and for my grandmother." Marcus felt tears in his eyes. "Are you sure? You don't have to do that." "We want to," Maria said. "You gave us a new life, a new chance. Our baby will be born because you helped us have hope again." "Besides," Carlos added with a grin, "our children will grow up together like brother and sister. It's good for them to have connected names." The baby was born on a sunny Tuesday in March. It was a healthy boy with dark hair and Carlos's eyes. They named him Marcus Miguel, just like they planned. Emma was fascinated by the new baby. She wanted to touch his tiny hands and feet. She brought him her toys and tried to share her food with him. Maria and Carlos were wonderful parents, and Marcus loved watching them with their son. But the biggest surprise came a few weeks after Marcus Miguel was born. Maria came to Marcus with tears in her eyes. "What's wrong?" Marcus asked, worried. "Nothing is wrong," Maria said. "Something is very right. I want to tell you something I have never told anyone." Marcus sat down, concerned. "When my first baby, Miguel, died, I thought God was punishing me for something," Maria said. "I thought I was not meant to be a mother. I thought I would never have the chance to love a child." She wiped her eyes. "But then Emma came into my life, taking care of her, feeding her, watching her grow up healthy and happy. It taught me that I could be a good mother. It gave me hope that I could have my own baby someday." Marcus listened carefully. "If you had not let me help Emma, if you had fired me that night, I would never have learned to trust myself as a mother. I would have been too scared to try again. But because of Emma, because of what you let me do, I knew I could take care of Marcus Miguel." Marcus felt his throat get tight with emotion. "You saved my life that night," Maria continued, "not just by giving me a job and a home, but by letting me be a mother when I thought I never could be." Marcus looked out the window at Emma and little Marcus Miguel playing together on the blanket. Emma was trying to show the baby how to clap his hands. "You saved Emma's life," Marcus said. "And you saved mine too." "How did I save your life?" "I was drowning," Marcus said. "After Sarah died, I felt like I was failing at everything. I couldn't make Emma happy. I couldn't figure out how to be both a mother and father to her. I was working too much, crying too much, feeling lost all the time." Marcus paused. "But watching you with Emma showed me that love comes in many forms. You taught me that it's okay to accept help, that it's okay to let other people love my daughter. You showed me what real strength looks like." 3 months later, Marcus was preparing for Emma's first birthday party. The house was decorated with balloons and streamers. Maria had made a beautiful cake with pink frosting and flowers. Carlos had set up tables and chairs in the garden. Marcus's mother came to the party, along with his sister and some friends. At first, they were polite but distant with Maria and Carlos. But as the day went on, they saw how Emma ran to Maria when she scraped her knee. They saw how she giggled when Carlos picked her up and spun her around. They saw how happy and loved Emma was. During the party, Marcus stood up to make a speech. Everyone got quiet and looked at him. A year ago, I thought. My life was over, Marcus began. When Sarah died, I felt like I had lost everything except Emma. I didn't know how to take care of her alone. I was scared and sad and angry. He looked at Maria and Carlos, who were standing together holding baby Marcus Miguel. But then something amazing happened. I learned that family isn't just about blood. Family is about people who show up when you need them. People who love your children like their own. People who make sacrifices to help others. Marcus's voice got stronger. Maria and Carlos didn't just help me take care of Emma. They became her family. They became my family. They taught me that love multiplies when you share it. He raised his glass of juice. So today, we're not just celebrating Emma's first birthday. We're celebrating the family we've built together. We're celebrating love that crosses all boundaries. Everyone clapped, including Marcus's mother, who had tears in her eyes. Later that evening, after the guests had gone home, Marcus sat on the porch watching Emma play with her new toys. Maria was feeding Marcus Miguel, and Carlos was cleaning up the garden. This was not the life Marcus had planned a year ago. It was messier, more complicated, and definitely more unusual than anything he had ever imagined. But it was also fuller, happier, and more loving than he had thought possible. Emma ran over to him with a toy truck in her hands. "Daddy, play!" Marcus picked her up and kissed her forehead. "Always, sweetheart. Daddy will always play with you." As the sun set behind the trees that Carlos had planted, Marcus realized that sometimes the most beautiful things in life come from the most unexpected places. Sometimes love arrives in ways you never planned for. And sometimes the best decisions are the ones that shock everyone else, but feel absolutely right in your heart. Emma was healthy, happy, and surrounded by people who loved her. Marcus Miguel was growing strong with parents who adored him. Maria and Carlos had built a new life for themselves. And Marcus had learned that being a father didn't mean doing everything alone. They had become a family in the most unusual way possible, but they had become a family nonetheless. And that was all that mattered.